right, so hi everyone. Welcome to our class today. So we've been talking about HTML, CSS in the previous classes we've had, and in the very last class, we decided to take a bold step to actually apply our HTML and CSS skills to clone a website, right? So let me just see. Okay, so let's see the website. So decagon.institute is the website we have been working on, right? Decagon.institute. Okay, so this is the website we've been cloning, right? So this is how it looks like. Yeah. And we started. Okay, so yeah. So this is how the website actually looks like. And in our previous class, let's see, open with live server. Let's see what we did and where we stopped. All right, so this is how far we went in our previous class, right? Yeah, so we actually got to this point, right? Okay. And this is what we have. This is the website. So we're actually going to continue from where we stopped. Yeah. All right. So let's go. So looking at the website here, so we have this, the WG bundle service. There's okay, some space between these and this, okay, before this paragraph. So let's see what we have. So we actually have a lot of space here from WG to this WG logo by Decagon. So let's try to address that space. So this is our code, right? So if you're just attending this class for the first time, of course we already have a code base, right? Which we started in our previous class, and you know, this is our HTML, right? And these are CSS, right? So these are CSS, and we've actually been working on this just to let you know, yeah. All right. So we just continue, yeah. All right, so our WG bundle service, okay, so let's go there. Let's go to our HTML where we have that. So we actually have on line 77 here that says our WG bundle service. And we have a div right after it. So that div contains an image, contains a paragraph, contains another image. So remember that this is a logo, right? This WG is a logo. This by is a text, while this decagon is equally a logo, right? So that's why we had to bring them within a div so that we can have that, you know, apply appropriate styling to it. Then after that, we had with our WG bundle service, when you enroll, we had this paragraph, right? So, but what we want to do is we want to address this space here. So let's go. So let's look at this container, Decagon WG container. Let's just look at it to see what styling is there. Decagon WG container. Okay, this is the container. So let me activate the background color. So like I said, sometimes I like to use background colors for elements, right? Maybe because I want to see the space, right? The space that that element is actually taking so that I can know how to style it and, know what to adjust in order to acquire or get to my desired styling, right? So let's uncomment this background bisque. Okay, so as you can see, this div, so you see the kind of space it takes, right, from here to here. So that's actually going to help you to know, okay, what's responsible for this space and how can I reduce it? So what we can do is to come here to say, so we have a height, right? We had given a height of 200 pixels. So it's because of that height that it is actually giving this space from this point to this point. So what we just do is we just go to where we had height of 200 pixels. So we can say maybe max content. We can just say that the height should just take the full content. So when we say height max content, it's actually going to just be around where the content is, right? So that's really what it does. So by so doing, it essentially brings down or reduces the space between the first our WG bundle service and this WG logo, right? Um, yeah, so let me see how much space there is in the original so there's quite a little space. So what we can do is to give it this container, we can give it some margin, right? Margin top and bottom so that we can achieve this space. So let's go to say margin. So margin. So first argument is top and bottom. So we can say, or let's just say, what if we give 20 pixels, right? Let's see how 20 pixels will look like. So at this point, I want to take out the background color. Let's take out that background color. All right, so I think this looks good. Yeah. Okay, so let's go. So next we have with our WG bundle service that. Let me see. Okay. All right, so let's check our HTML just to check the styling or to check the structure rather. So we had WG container. Okay, so containing h1 div and all of that. All right, so let's look at it again. So we actually have some space around it, but what we want to do is to okay. Okay, so let's see. Let's work on this text, this WG bold paragraph. Let's go there. WG bold paragraph. So we actually gave it a width. So let me deactivate this width for now. See what we have. So it's actually full. Let's give it some padding. Okay, I gave it padding of 10 pixels. So what if let me see. Okay, so padding. If I give it maybe like 50 pixels, let me see. Okay, let me look at the original. Okay, so let's activate the width and let's say text align. Text align should be center, right? Let's see. Okay, text align center. Let me see. So if that happens, so it starts at width and stops at gets, right? So let's see where our own starts and stops. Our own starts at width and doesn't stop at gets. So what we can do is to increase the width to maybe 85 view width. let's see how that works. Okay, so let's say 80. It starts at width and stops at get, so maybe 75 view width, maybe around 78 or something. Okay, so starts at width, stops at get. The other one overflows. Let me see. So next is you get access to free guidance and coaching on school. So it starts at U, stops at Visa. Let's see. That's at U, stops at Visa. So let me check our HTML. So this is it. So let's give it an ID and give it an ID. Okay, so an ID of or what we can do is to, okay, so we have this, so I can just target, okay, so let me give an ID so to be distinct. So so what ID should I give to this? Maybe double G P2 or something, just to differentiate it from the first paragraph, right? So here we can come here, that's an ID, so that would be an hash, Control V, yeah. So so we can just give text align to be center, right? Text align to be center. Let's see. Text align to be center. Then we can play with the width, right? So that we can squeeze it a little bit. Yeah. So let's see. Starts with U, gets and stops at Visa. And we can also increase the font size a bit. Maybe font size to say maybe 18 pixels. How does this work? Yeah. So let's work on the width. So let's say width, maybe let's say 78 view width, and just to see how it works. Okay, so we can reduce it more, or we can also bring in padding, right? So padding to further compress it, maybe like 50 pixels. Let's see what happens. Okay, so I think yeah. So but the color of the text, okay, so let's get this exact color. Let's inspect so that we can get the color of the text. Yeah, so this is it. Let's see. So the color is this ash 5C6881. So we have ash 5C6881 to be the color. So color, okay. So I think that should be our color. So you see at the moment, okay, so we've gotten that color. So but I think what's happening is that there's a lot of space here. It's a lot of space. So let's address that, reduce that space. Even for this one, the first paragraph, it's also a lot of space. So we just wanted to achieve the space, the padding to the left and right. So at the top and bottom here, we can say 0 pixels, right? 0 pixels, 50 pixels. Here we can equally say 0 pixels. Remember, the first argument stands for top and bottom, while the second one stands for left and right. So with that, okay, you can have those two paragraphs coming together, but let's now give a little bit space here to say maybe top and bottom here. Let's make it, let's make one of them say 10 pixels, right? So let's see the original, and let's see the space. So let's increase the padding to say maybe 20 pixels. Let's see. Okay, so I think we just, yeah, 20 pixels works. So next is that we have these two cards, right? One to the left, one to the right. So so definitely we are going to have a parent div, right? Then we are going to have two children. One will be a particular, like one will still be a div to the left, the other will be a div to the right. So let's go. Index.html. So we are going to have a div, which is going to be a parent. Inside the parent, you're going to have two children, right? One, I would have two, right? So here, so what do we have? This looks like, so we can use a paragraph for this. So we're gonna have one paragraph. We can have heading, maybe use H3 for this. Then we use another P for this. Then we use image for this, right? So that's how we are gonna build it. Right. So let's have paragraph, right? After paragraph, let's have heading 3. Then after that, let's have another paragraph, right? Then after that, let's have an image, right? So that's going to be the structure. So let's start. The first one says gateway 1, gateway 1, right? Let's see. Okay, so gateway 1. Next is intensive tech training. So intensive tech training, right? Then we have another paragraph. Let me just copy that, drop here. Then we have an image, right? So we have src. Let's copy image address. Come here, drop it there. Then we're going to have our alt to say, so what's this picture? So we can say a tutor or a student learning under a tutor or something. So you can actually coin out your own alts, right? So, but I don't want to think too much. A student learning with a mentor or something, right? So I think that can work. That alt can work. So let's see. We're actually going to have so gateway 1. Let's see. So let's style them, right? Okay, let's bring in the second one, gateway 2, then study abroad. Let's work on the second one. So so inside the second div, remember, let's have a paragraph here to say gateway 2, right? Then after the paragraph, let's have heading 3 to say study abroad. Okay, so then after that, we are going to have this paragraph, right? So we're going to have paragraph and we'll drop it there. Yeah. Then we'll have an image. Let me copy the image address. Okay, so let's have an image, right? So img. So let's have src, right? We drop it there and we have our alt. So what's our alt? Let me see. Maybe students on a walkway in a campus environment, something like that. Students on a walkway in a campus environment. Right. Yeah. So let's see what we have. Let's look at what we've built. So can you see what we have at the moment? Top and bottom, right? So we want to bring the two together, left side by side, right? So let's see. So the parent div, let's give it an ID to say, maybe we can just use the word gateway container. Yeah, gateway container for the parent. Copy that, go to our styles, and that is an hash, which is an ID, gateway container. Then remember, we just make it to display flex, and with that, it's going to be left and right. So that's what flex does. It just brings the element, it makes it to be in a row, right? From left to right. It arranges it in a row from left to right. So what else can we do? Let me see. So we can justify content, right? Let's see. Let's justify content. So what we want to do is I want to create some space from the left to the beginning, then in between, then at the end. So that's what we want to do. So let's say justify content space around. So yeah, so let's try space around. Space around. Okay, so let's see, justify content space around. Let's see, let's give it a height. Maybe make the height auto for now. Then let's see, align. Let's also align items. Align items to maybe center. Okay, so why is this not working? Let me see. Flex. Let me see. Justify content space around. Okay, so let's try something. Let's see. Okay, so let's give a background color first. Just background color to maybe let's give it beige. Okay, so what we want to do, let me see. Okay, so let's give it flex one, like each of them, flex one, so that they are going to take equal amount of space. I think that's why we've not defined a width. So it's either you define a width for each of these, this is a container to the left, which is a div, and this is another div. So you need to kind of define a width so that you can be able to say, oh, this the boundary, this way it stops. Then with that, when you now say justify content and all of that, you'll now be able to space it, give it sufficient space because you've bound it, you've given it a width. So let's do that. Let's go to each of them and give them a width, each of them. So what we can do is to say gateway to div. Let's target the div within the gateway container. So what we can do is to say hash gateway underscore container. Then let's target the div, the children that are divs inside, right? So what we can do is to say, we can say, let's see, flex one. Okay. So flex one. So what flex one just does is that flex one just says, oh, make these children, there are two children, right? So flex one just says, make each of them to have equal spacing within this container, right? So that's what Flex One actually does. So you would see that if I inspect, you see that the width of this container, this gateway 2, is equivalent to the width of gateway 1. So let's even inspect just to demonstrate. So you're going to see that our website is going to look, it wouldn't look pretty for now because we've not addressed the responsiveness. So that's why it's looking ugly. But we are going to address that. So let's just go. I want to demonstrate the width. Let me see. Okay, so it's actually growing with the container. So because it's growing with the container, I can give it a fixed width because you can see that as I reduce the container, it reduces more or less. But let me just find out the actual width. Can I get the actual width? Let me see. Okay, so let me look for it here. I think this is the div, right? Yeah. Okay. So let me see. Width. Okay, scroll bar. Okay, so no width, but if I put my cursor here and still come here, I want to see that. Okay, so well, from this H3, you see that the width is around 461 pixels. And if you put it here, 461. So you're going to see that all the children, we are going to just inherit the width. So 461, that's this paragraph here. Then this paragraph to the left also is equally 461. So two of them are just going to share. The left and right containers are going to share. But what I would prefer is to give them individual widths, right? I would like to give them individual width of their own so that their width will not grow. It will not grow with the size of the container. So that's what I would like to do. So instead of Flex One is great, but instead of Flex One, I would like to say width. So I can give it a fixed width at this point to say maybe 400 pixels. Let's check it out. Okay, so that looks maybe 500 pixels or something. So yeah. So with this fixed width, it's not going to grow. It definitely will not grow with the container. If I reduce this container, it's going to remain 500 pixels. If I increase, it's going to remain 500 pixels, right? Let's see. Don't know why I'm not seeing the width of this container. And I expect to see the div that is holding all of this while moving, but I don't seem to see it. Okay, so but really that's what it is. 500 pieces to the left, 500 pieces to the right. But this doesn't look nice. So let's see what we can do. Huh? Justify content. Okay, so space around. So let's justify the content again. Let's enable it. Space around, see how it looks. Okay. So with space around, I've just been able to give it sufficient spacing, right? To the left and to the right. What I can do now is to say, if I want to make it responsive, I can just say wrap, flex wrap, flex wrap, wrap. So what this is going to do is that if I inspect if there is any excess on the width, whatever is left, whatever is in the excess is actually going to come down by default. So let me just inspect to show you. Inspect. So you will see it stacks from top, like it stacks on top of each other. But when I didn't ask it to wrap, two of them will just be to the left and right. So, but now now if you do this, let's see. So let's see. This 1024. So already you can see it comes side by side. But as the screen becomes smaller, you see, the second one is actually going to go under on its own, right? So I think that makes sense. So let's see where we are. Let's see the original. Okay, so right. So each of them have a background. So there's a background of I think light blue. Let me see. Let me take out the initial background of the parent container, right? So that we can know what we are doing. And let's come here and just say maybe background color light blue. So let's see. So you can see this, but I'm not sure of that color. So let me just go and find the exact color. Let me inspect here. Okay, so let me look for the background color. So we have ash F2, F4, F7. Okay, so F2, F2, F4, F7. So it actually has an ash. Yeah, so that's our background color. Okay, so this is it. So what we can do also is to give it a height, right? So because we didn't give it a fixed height, that's why it is this way. So we can give it a height now to say maybe height of, let's say maybe 600 pixels, just checking, which is actually too long. Let's give it 5. Okay, so let's check the original to see. Okay, so let's continue. Maybe by the time we start giving it some space around, it's actually going to give us what we need. So we're also going to make this container to display flex, right? Then we want to say display flex. Yeah, this is what is expected. Remember, display flex is going to bring each of the children to arrange them from left to right. So when you do this, after giving it a display flex, if that's not the direction you want, so you can change the flex direction to say column. So column, they are going to start from top to bottom. So it still remains the way it was. But what we want to do is to justify content so that it is going to space itself. Justify content to say, let's space around or let's space evenly. Okay, let's try space evenly. See. Okay, so space evenly just gives it some kind of nice space round. Yeah, let me see what we have here. Okay, so space evenly. So I think we just go with space evenly. Okay, so let's continue. What else do we see? Border radius. Let's give it some border radius so that we can achieve the curved edges. So this curved edges that you see here, right, is due to border radius. So let's give it some border radius so that we can achieve that. So let's come here to say border radius, maybe 20 pixels. Okay, so 20 pixels, yeah. Okay, so we can actually add a little bit more to say maybe 40. All right. Then what else can we do? We can give a padding, yeah? Padding, let's say padding. Let's give padding of say 20 pixels. All right, so padding gives it some space. Let me see the original. Okay, so if you look at the original, the space in between the two is actually smaller. So I need to do that. Yeah, here. So what we can do, ours is large. So what we can do is to come to this container and give it a fixed width. right? Give it a fixed width. The container holding the two divs. So we can say width with maybe 80 view widths. So you want to give it in view widths. Oh, 80 view width gives us this. Let's see. Let's say 80%. Let me see. Okay, so it still brings it this way. But let me do something. Let me activate the background color because I want to see the extent to which that container goes. Okay. Oh, all right. So, okay. So what we can do is to let's increase it maybe to say 90. 90. So 90. 90. Let me see. So let's see. Or maybe 85 or something. 85. So when you say percentage, right, it's like 85% of the parent container, right? If you've defined the width of the closest parent container to this, is actually going to calculate that 85% by the actual width of the closest ancestor, the closest parent container. If there is none, it's going to say 85% of the body, of the width of the body. And you know that the width of the body by default is your whole screen, like from left to your far right of your whole screen, right? So what we can do is to say, so it's towards our left. So we can give it some margin, right? So that I can push it to the center. So we can give it some margin to say maybe margin. Remember, margin is the space, the outer space. That's after border, if there is. If there is no border, it's still an outer space. So margin to say maybe top, bottom, 0 for now. Left, right, maybe 70 pixels. Let's try. Okay, so something around this. So if we say 80 pixels, let's see. So there's a way we can actually achieve, bring it to the perfect center. But I think I'll just stop 90 pixels, maybe. So that's more like manual. If I want to achieve it at the perfect center, if I want to bring this div to the perfect center, it means I need to come here. I would likely have to come here to the div gateway container and wrap it in another div again. When I wrap it in another div, from that div, I would now be able to make it to have like, give the width, make the width to be 100 view width, to take the full width of my screen. Then I will now be able to tell it, okay, display flex, align content, align item center, and justify content. But I don't want to go through that route, but that is a route you can equally explore. So let's see. So let's take out this background color, right? Let's just comment it out for now and see. Okay, so let's check the original. Okay, somewhere around this. Let's go into to style this gateway one to say. So at this point, I think this is the general styling, right? That applies to the two. Like that applies to this one left and this one right. But coming here, you will see that there are some differences between this and this. So you have to go and give it an ID or a class so that you can be able to target each of them and change the background color like this one. Also change the color of the text. So let's do that. So let's go to our HTML, open up this, go to our first gateway. So there is a P here, first P. So what we can do to say, we can say class. You can give it a class to say class of gateway one. We can just use that, the text inside gateway one, and come here, and say gateway 1, to say dot gateway 1, and background color. So we see that the background color there was black. Then we also had the color of the text was white. Yeah, so we can do that. So let's see. Okay, so background color is this. So we can just say width. Width should just be max content, right? Width should be max content. So width, max content. So we don't want the width to extend from where it is to the far right. We just want the width to wrap around. We want the width to wrap around the paragraph. So that's why we say max content. So what we can do is we need to apply border radius. Border radius to say maybe 20 pixels. Then we also need to apply some padding so that we can create some space around it. Padding to say maybe 20 pixels. Let's just see how this looks. Okay, so that's too big. You can reduce the padding to maybe 10 pixels. Okay. Then let's see what they have here. Okay, maybe something around this. Okay, so what we can do is to font weight. Let's make it a bit weighty. So let's say font weight maybe 700. Okay, so it gives it some weight. Let's see here. Yeah, so I think we'll just stop there. We may not go into more details than that. Then we go to the next. We have intensive tech training. So to find out this color, I need to find out this green color. Let me find out exactly what that green color is. So let me see. Okay, ash 348853. So we have ash 348853 for the second one. Let me just drop it here first. Ash 348853. 53, I guess. Ash 348853. So let me check this second one, gateway 2. Ash 34, okay, the same thing. All right, so we use that for the 2. Okay, so let's see what next. Let me comment this out. Let me go to gateway 2, right? And give it a class of gateway 2. Gateway 2, right? So let's copy this. And that is a class. So we use dots, Control V, then we have this. So we have the color, right? The color of the text is this. I'll just lift this. Control X. Let me cut it. Paste. Then what else do we have? Let me see here. Okay, no. It's not okay. Yeah, gateway 2. Okay. So the only thing that changed, every other thing remains the same, just the background color. That's for gateway 2. So we can just we can, so what we can do, so the styles are more like the same. So what we can do is to say, we can even come here and just give it, let me see, color is white. Okay, so what changes is just the color and the background color. Okay, so what we can do here is, we can say gateway 1, gateway 2. So we want to give those ones the same styling. We can take out this color and background. Then come to gateway 2 and give it its own color and give it its background. So the background color is green, while the color is white. Okay, so let's take this. Color here is white. Okay. So, okay. So let's still come here and give this. Remember, we are taking out the background color and the color. So let's, okay. So black and white, black background. So you can actually repeat styling for the same gateway one, right? So let's say, let's bring it here. So the color here would be black, right? So background color, no, background color is black. Background color is black, while the color is white. Okay, I think that's that. So yeah, we actually have that. All right, so here, just to explain what I did, this is the use of CSS group selector, right? So I just, because these are similar stylings, these stylings are similar to the two, but the only difference is just in the color and background color. So what I just did here was to bring the similar stylings for the two and say dot gateway 1, comma, dot gateway 2. So two of them are going to take all this styling here. Then coming here, I decided to say, okay, this is what is different in the two of them. So I still did dot gateway 2 again and styled it, brought in the different style, like what's separates or differentiates gateway 1 from gateway 2. Then I came here and also equally start gateway 1 and gave it its desired, you know, desired styling, right? So let's see, get white and black. Here is white and black. So what we've even done, let's come here. Let's remove this color. Since the color is similar to the two, right? So color white. So we can take it out and come here to where we have, where it's going to affect the two and just drop it here. Color white. So two of them are still going to have white, yeah, but different backgrounds, okay? So let's see what next. So next is this. So this has green and this has black. So let's check out green and black. So let me see. Intensive tech training, H3. So this one is equally H3. So what I can do, green and black. Green and black. So I just have to give it an ID at this point to say intensive. I don't know, I could just use the text there. Intensive heading, right? Intensive intensive heading for that ID. So come here to, that's an ID. So that will be an hash, drop it there. Then color. Color is this, I'll give it this. Then we have the second one, study abroad. So we can say ID, study. So at this point, we can just say study abroad. So go to our styles of CSS. That's an ID. So that'll be hash. Drop it there. Curly brace. Then color at this point. Okay, color is black. So by default, color is black. Okay. Yeah. So it looks small. So let's put it in let's just increase the font size a bit. Or we can put it in, let me see. So instead of H3, you know that H2 is actually bigger than H3. So we can put it in maybe, let's say H1, for example. Let's just see how H1 looks like. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so I think H2 will be fine. So H2, right? I don't want to increase the font size. I just want to use HTML to achieve that. So that's why I'm changing the headings. Okay, so I think this is great. So let me see. I hope. Okay, so yeah, so the images also have border radius. Can you see? So let's see ours. Ours is just okay, this one has, this one does not. So let's style this one to give it some border radius. I think that will be the end for that. Then we'll move to the next. So this is the first one. So let's give it an ID to style of maybe gateway image one. Just something that ties it to the paragraph or to the section. Gateway image one. We can just use something like that. Okay. Or gateway one image. Since this is gateway one image. So that makes sense. Okay. So come here. So let's take out this. We didn't use it. Ash gateway one image. So just give it a border radius and that will be all. Maybe 20 pixels. Okay. So with that, let's move to the next. So next we have our training programs. Okay, so we have this. Then we have cards. We have 4 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. So let's see. Let's do that. So we have a paragraph. No, we have a heading. So we can use heading 1 for this, and P for this, and we can put all of them in a div. Let's put all of them in a div. That particular section. So let's come here. Let's have a div. Okay, so within this div, we'll have a heading 1, yeah? Heading 1. I think what is there is our training program in our heading 1. Then we equally have a paragraph, right? So within the paragraph, I would just like to copy what we have here because of time. Just copy and paste our training programs, yeah? Right. So let's see. Okay, so this is what we have. So let's see. So next we have these cards, right? So you see that there's some kind of image under and there is a write-up on top. So what we are just going to do is to create one card, and from there we'll replicate the cards. You know, we'll just have one card and replicate it. So let's go. Let's start with one card, right? So let's say, let me see. So it's going to have a div, right? Let's say div. Yeah. So these cards, all these cards will have its own div. So okay, so let me see. Oh no, let's say card by card. Let's start that way. Div. This is for the first card, right? First card. So the first card has an image. Okay, so let me see. So let's have another div again. Div. So remember that this is more like the card div. So if you want to even give it, okay, so let me not give it an ID, but this is more like the card div. It's going to contain all of this. It's going to contain the image. It's going to contain this text. It's going to contain this one, this, even till this button, right? It's going to contain all of that. While the second div I gave within it is just going to contain this image and this text. So there are two. One div to contain this image and this text, while the second div to contain all of this. So let's go. So let's have two divs, right? So the first div is going to have an image, right? So let's say img, and it's going to also have a text. So that text is like a heading. One looks like maybe heading 2. Let's use heading 2. While the second one is actually, I think, a paragraph. Yeah, so we can use this as paragraph. So let's just copy everything and drop it there. then take out this full stack software engineering and drop it in heading 2. Okay. So we have our image. Let's inspect. So I'm supposed to get copy image address, but if I right click, it doesn't bring up that image. So you can see if you try to right click, all other images, if you right click, you are going to have copy image address. But here, we don't seem to have that. So let's find a way to work around it. So let's inspect. So even by inspecting, you won't still be able to figure out that image. But what we can do is, let's come here. Let's take it to where the image is. Yeah, so let's click. Okay, so this is the image. So we can come here and look for that image. Let me see. Background. Okay. Oh, they say, okay, that's a background. Okay. So yeah, so this is the, let me see. Yeah, so this is it. Current source. So what we can do is to copy link address. Let me see. Let me copy link address and see. So SRC. So let's drop it there and see. Okay. So I think that should work. Then Alt. Let me see. Alt is gonna be, so I can just say software engineering image. Just, I don't want to waste time. So I can say software engineering image. Okay. So so let's see what happens. Okay, so you can see the image, but one thing is that our text is down. So how do we take the text up? So you see that there are a lot of ways to do this. In their own case, they use it as a background image, but I don't want to use it as a background image. I want to come up another way, or maybe I can show the two methods, but this is how I want to do it. So this is how I want to do it. So this is a div. So with this, you're actually going to learn how to position, how to put something on top of another thing. But you can just use background URL and have your way. So, but you can say div. Let's give it an ID because we want to style it. So let's give it an ID to say software. So software ENG. Let's stop there. An ID of software ENG. Let's come to our styles of CSS to say hash. So curly brace. So okay, so let me go back. Software ENG. Okay, so this is actually the, okay. So this is the child, right? Let me see. This is the div. Yeah. So what we can do, let me see. Let me see, this is a div. I want to position one to be relative and the other one absolute. So so what I can do is to, let me see, software ENG. So I can give this position, yeah, software ENG. So I'll give it position absolute. Position position absolute, right? Then but to make that work, then you have to go to let me see, the parents, and actually give it, let me see, maybe class to say software container. So let's see. Software container. So if you come to the styles and say the container is a class, so we can say dot software container, and we give it position. So position of relative, right? Or let me see. No, let's give the parent position absolute, and let's give the child position relative. So what we are trying to achieve is that this is a child. We want to bring this on top of this. So the parent, we gave it position absolute, and the child, we said position relative. So let's see how that works. Let me see. So I want to position it on top. Okay. So okay. So let's play around with top maybe 20 pixels. Let's say or let's just say, okay, 20 pixels. Let's say left maybe 20 pixels. Then let's say bottom maybe I don't know, maybe 40%. Let's stop there and see how that works. Okay, so let me see. Sorry, let me check. Let me put this relative to say, put this absolute. Okay, let me make a little reference to something. See. Okay, so let me see. All right, so I think I get it. Okay. So let's come here. This is the div that has ID of software engineering, right? Let's come to here, H2, right? Let's equally give it, okay, so let's use the software ENG to target H2. And let's also use the software ENG to target the P. I think that's what I want to achieve. So let me comment this out for now. And let me also comment out this navigation. Let me say, so software ENG hash, software underscore ENG. So let's target H2 to say position relative. And let's give top. Well, let's copy what we have. Top 20 pixels, left 20 pixels. Let's drop it there and see. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so the parent has position relative and the child has position absolute. Okay, relative, child has position absolute. Okay, so it has taken the text. Let me just give the text white color so that you are going to see color white. Okay, so this is what I wanted to achieve, to take the text and put it on top So we can actually do same for the second one. So what did we do? Okay, so let me put the second one first. So I can say target H2. Let me see. If I say also target P, what happens? Okay, it's going to be on top of each other, but that's not what I want. So let me take out the P and do it separately. So I can say hash software underscore eng, then target the paragraph. So I can just give it position absolute, then top maybe 30 pixels. Let me just see how that looks. Maybe 50 pixels. Then I give it color so that we can see it. Color of white. Okay. Then I can work on the left. Left is 20 pixels. So I can just say left. Left should be 20 pixels. Okay, so let me just explain. Essentially what I did was that I came here. So let's go back to the index.html. So this is the index.html, right? Let me control save so that I can format. This is the div. It has class of software container, right? Then within it is another div that has an ID of software eng, right? Then I had an image here, h2, and a paragraph. So what I wanted to do is on this image, I want to bring h2 on top of this image. And I want to equally bring this paragraph on top of this image. So what did I have to do? The parents, remember that the parent of this image, h2 and paragraph is this. This is the parent directly. Div ID software engineering, eng. So what I needed to do is to make the parent to have position relative. As you can see, software eng. Let's see. Software eng. So we just give the parents position of relative. Then we now made the children to have position absolute, because by so doing, we want to move this relative to this. We want to move, this is a container, right? We want to move h2 and paragraph relative to this container. We don't want it, so by the time we are saying top, left, right, we want it to still be within this container. So that's why we said parents should take position of relative, while the child should take position of absolute. Then with that, we're actually going to move it around. So yeah, so we're able to achieve this. But maybe in another card, I'm going to use background image. So, but let's continue. So we have another div containing all of these to say starting at this program starts. Okay. So what we can do is to let me see. Okay, so let me copy everything here. So I'm going to put them in different paragraphs. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's say I'm going to have 7 paragraphs. Let's go here. So this is let's see. This is the second div that is empty. Remember, we've not done anything inside. So 7 paragraphs, right? P 7. So if we want to make it 7, we can just say P times 7. Remember the shortcut. So we can say P times 7 and press enter. It's going to give us 7 paragraphs. So we can drop what we copied here, starting at 550K. So we can copy all the rest. Control X, come to the next, Control V. then copy this, cut this, come to the next, Control V. We are going to format it properly, right? Or I can just press Control S and it will format. So let me see. So the next, we just Control V, duration 18 weeks, right? So next, mode of delivery, fully online hybrid. Yeah, so we can still take that into the next. Then we can take that into the next. Then we can take this last one and create another paragraph for it. P, Control V. Okay, so let me Control S, save it so that I can format for us. All right, so let's see what we have. Okay, so this is what we have. I think we've pasted something twice there. Program starts 10th, yeah. Duration is 18 weeks. Program start this duration 18 weeks, okay. Mode of delivery, duration 18 weeks. Mode of delivery, okay. So mode of delivery. Let me see, mode of delivery, okay. Then I can delete every other one. So where we have duration 18 weeks is like a repetition. Let me see. Okay. Yeah. Let me see. Okay, so starting at this, program starts this, duration, mode of delivery, okay. So if we do one card, we can just replicate. Let's try to hurry up on one card. So let's see. So first we need to bring this to the center. So starting at 550K, in fact, we need to bring, starting at 550K, we need to bring it to the center. So what we can do, we can just give it an ID. Maybe we can call it start underscore price, you know, copy this, go and style it, right? So what we want to do is to bring it to the center. So so text align, let's use text align and just drop it at the center. So what next? We just want to give it, so another thing we can do is we can give this display flex, right? We can give this display flex so that we just use some of the flex properties to automatically give it space and reduce styling each of them like one by one. Yeah, so what we can do is let's just give it display of flex. Okay, we also need to bring in a button here called view more and register. Okay, so what I can, for this button, what I can do is I can copy this enroll in a program style. I can just take the ID, right? Just take the ID and use it because it's almost the same thing. Can just take the ID, right? And bring it here. Just change the text. So let's look for that enroll. Let me just copy enroll where we have enroll. So I think this is it, enroll, that button. Let's take it to the div. So after time commitment, let's bring in that enroll button. Okay, so here is going to be view more and register. View more and register. Okay, so let's see what we have. Yeah, view more and register. So we can always tweak it. But let's see. Width. This div, we need to give it a width. So let's see. The div that contains the image and this second one, right? The div that has these two divs, which is software container. So let's give it a width, a fixed width. So let's look for software container. Okay, so this is it. Let's take out this position. So let's give it a fixed width now. So what I can say is, can we say max content? Let me see how max content works. Max content, is that what we want to achieve? Okay, so I think it will just take, okay, maybe max content to work. It has brought this paragraph to the middle. So let's give it a background color. Just want to see the extent to which it covers, right? So maybe background color of maybe antique white or something. Okay, so this is what I want to see. Okay, so we can give it a height. We can give it a height, right? To say maybe 600 pixels. Okay, so it extends down. What next can we do? Let's give this second div flex. Yeah, let's give this second div flex. Let's give the second div flex. So what's the ID? This is the first div. This is the second div. Okay, so let's give an ID to the second div. ID um of software. So we can say software text container. Software text container. Then we can use that and come here to style it. So that's an ID. So that will be an hash, Control V. Then software text container. So what we want to do is to make it display flex, of course. Display flex. Then flex direction. Let's make it to be column so that it will stack from top to bottom. Then from there we can give an height, give a height to say auto for now. Then we can say justify content, space around. Let's see how that works. Okay, space around, align items, center. Okay, so that didn't work. This is not what I expect. Let me see. Display flex, yeah, flex duration, column height, auto. Let me see, justify content, space around, align item center. So what if, let me give it a fixed height and just to test to say maybe 400 pixels. Okay, so I need to give a fixed height. Okay, so with that, it's going to spread it. Okay. So what next? Let me see. So program starts is actually bold. Yeah. So program start is bold, duration is bold, mode of delivery is bold. So let's go to our index to say program start is bold. So we can just put strong, the strong tag, right? You can just use strong tag for it and just stop, come here, drop it there. Duration is equally bold, strong. Oh, let me delete this pair. Then mode of delivery, strong also. Strong. Mode. Okay, so I've deleted mode. So let me drop it, mode. So what next? Time commitment is equally strong. Okay. Then, so let's see how it goes. Okay, so let me see. So align items. I don't want this to be, I don't want this to be at the center. I want it to start from the far left. So let's go to where we had align items center. So I can say flex start. Flex start. So it's actually going to begin from the far left. Then from there we can just give it a padding to, give it some space from the far left, right? Just like we have here. Maybe padding of 10 pixels will do. So let's say padding of 10 pixels. Padding of 10 pixels. Or padding left, I can define it to just say padding left 10 pixels. I can make it 20, maybe 20 pixels. Okay, so let's see what are we missing here. So let's give this color here 550K. 550K. So let's come to 550K and let's put a span. Remember, you use span to style an inline text, something that you want to style differently from every other one. So you can come here, just wrap it around a span and give it an ID to say, we can even give it an ID of 550 or an ID of amount. Start amount, maybe ID of amount or software. I don't know what we'll give it. Okay, let's just go with amount for now. ID of, that's hash amount. Then there we want to say, we just want to change the color to this. And we also want to work on the, we want to make it bold. So font size, let's increase the font size, maybe to 25 pixels. And let's increase the font width to maybe 700. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so I think something like this. So what else? So this starting at is actually at the middle, right? So we can single starting at out. Remember, we had already given text align center. So what we can do is, let me see. So we can take it out of this. You know that this div has display. Let me see. This div has display flex. So we can take it out of this div. Control X and put it on top. Let's see how that goes. Okay, so what I just did was, this is a div. The one that has the image is a div. This second one that is here also has a div. And the div here is flex. And I said justify content should be flex start. So because I said flex start, this starting at 550K was equally at the flex start at the beginning. So I didn't want to single it out alone. I just said, okay, let me isolate it from this div. So when you isolate it from the div, and I already gave it text align center. So it's just going to come to the middle. So the display flex will not affect it. So that's exactly what's happened there. Let me see. So this is a whole lot of details, right? This is a whole lot of details. So, but what I would just like to do is, Let me just see where we are. So let's just duplicate these cards at this point. Let me see, is there any background color? So there's some kind of background color. And I think this page has a background color. It's not white. Let's see our own. Let me see. Is it? Okay, let's just go ahead. Okay, so this has some kind of background color. Let me see what background color that is. And that's not pure white. Let me see what background color. Let me just see. Okay, so I think that's white, but it has something like box shadow. Yeah, it has some kind of box shadow. Okay, so let's see. It has some kind of box shadow. So let's see. Let me see. So let's go to this, the container holding two of them, which is software container. Okay. So software container. Okay, we've already started it. So it's just to go there to just give it software container. So it's just to give it box shadow. So to the horizontal, maybe 5 pixels, 5 pixels. So let me see. Well, let me see. It seems yeah, there's a little box shadow. Gray. Let me give it gray. Gray. 5 pixels, 5 pixels gray. Let me see how mine looks like. Okay, so that's like, say, maybe like 2 pixels, 2 pixels. Okay, something like this. Then there's some kind of blur radius, uh, blur spread radius. I want to say spread radius, maybe like 10 pixels. Okay, so this is blur. So let's say like 0 pixels for blur, then maybe 10 pixels for spread radius. Okay, so that's too much. Maybe 3. Say 2. That's still a lot. 1. Okay, so what we can do is maybe just take it out entirely. Okay, so we'll revisit the box shadow. So what else do we plan to do? So let's take out the background color. Let's take this out and see. Okay, so now let's bring in more cards, right? So we can just replicate this particular card. We can replicate this card to have more cards. Yeah, so what we can just do is, this is the container for the card. So we can just copy this, copy, and just want to make it, how many more cards? Let me see. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we have just 4 cards. So that's one. So we'd say Control V, 2. That's the second one. Let's collapse this. Let's bring in the third one. Okay. Let's collapse it. Then bring in the fourth one. Okay. Then collapse it also. So what's going to happen? Let's see. So you see that our 4 cards are stacked on top of each other. I believe the flex direction should be, so let's check what the flex direction is so that we can put it, like we can arrange it to in a row format. That's from left to right. So let's see. So where is the parent div, which is this? This div has this div has this div has this div has this. Then there is a div here. Okay, so this is the div. We're actually going to make this div a flex container. So class, maybe training section container. Okay. So let's see. Come to our styles, training section container. That's an ID. Hash. Training section container. Let me check. Okay, class. That was a class. So that will be a dots. So what do we want to do? We just want it to display flex. Okay, I think we display flex. Let me see. Okay. So what we can do, we can take this our training programs and this second one out. We can take it out of that container so that it will just be the cards. Or yeah, so I think we can do that. Just take these two, this and this. We just take it out of that div and put it on top. Okay. So this is how it's going to look like. Everything is going to be from the left to the right. So what we can do is to now make it to wrap, right? So you can see you have to scroll left to right to be able to see all the cards, but that's not what we want to achieve. We want some of them to wrap when it gets to the end of the screen. So we can come here. So we are still dealing with training section container. So we can come here to say flex wrap should wrap. So by so doing, it's going to just contain only what it can. Yeah. Then we can give a height because so that we can give some kind of spacing. Let's say justify content to say space around. Just give it some space around. Let's see. So this is what it does. So what if we say space evenly? Okay. So I think another thing we can do is we can give it a width to constrain this. We can give it a width and say width of maybe 70 view width. Let's just see. Okay, so with that, next thing now is to push it to the center. Or instead of giving it this width, let me try something. Let me try to give it some padding. Let me give it some padding to say padding maybe 50 pixels. Let's see, 50 pixels. Okay, I think I would prefer the padding. So the padding will just still put everything at the center, but this is what it's going to do. So at this point, we can now give, let me see, what can we give? I want it to have some space when it's comes this way. So what we can do is to training section that. So we can target the div, or we can give it a height. Let's give it a height so that we'll make it to align. Heights, maybe, let me see, auto. Then align content. Maybe space, I don't know, center or something. Let me see. Okay, so let me see. I need to give it some margin. So what I can do, right? Let me comment this out. Comment this out. So let me take this training section and target the divs inside. And target the divs. Let's see. Divs to say margin. Let's see margin to say maybe 20 pixels. Okay. So we've given it some 20 pixels of margin. Okay. 20 pixels. Let me look at the original. So I think it's around that. But let's see. Our box shadow is not making this nice. Let's go back to where we put our box shadow. Box shadow. Okay, so here. So instead of box shadow, let's comment it out first, and let's give it some border, right? Let's give it some border. Maybe 1 pixels solid gray. Let's see how. Okay, I think this makes sense. But now the border is lighter here. Let me see. It's quite light. So I can just give it some kind of gray, maybe a lighter form of gray or something. Maybe something like this. Somewhere around this anyway. Then let me see what else. Okay, let me make it this. Then we also give some kind of border radius. Maybe 5 pixels. Okay, so 5 pixels gives it that curved. But now we need a little bit of space from this view more and register down. So let's see the original. Okay, so in the original, this one seems to be compacted. From program starts to time commitment seems to be compacted. Okay. So in order to do that, I can wrap this around a div. That's program starts till time commitment. I can put it in a div so that it will reduce the size. Program starts till time commitment. Okay, so let's do that. Program starts. This is it. Program starts till time commitment before the button. Okay, so let's wrap it around a div. Okay, so before that button, let's see. Okay, so all right. Okay, so at this point we can now style that div. We can now style that div. So we can give it a class, right? Let's give it a class to say class of maybe program starts. Can just give it that class, program starts. Then go to our CSS. Let's delete this. Okay, so let's go down. Let's take this out. All the codes that we don't need, can take them out. So program start is a class. I hope it's a class. Let's check. So class, program start. So what we can do is to give it a height. So we can just give it a height to say maybe height of 50%, 50% of its container. What's going to happen? Let's give it a background color so that we'll be able to see what has happened. Background color, maybe antique white or something. Okay, so this is how it looks like. Okay, so we can actually make it to display flex because we want to give it some kind of, display flex, then flex direction. Let's make it to be column so that it will be from top to bottom. Then justify content space around. Okay. So I think that's what we want to achieve. Let me look at this one. Okay, so this button is centered. Okay, this button is centered. Let me see. So let me take out the background color first. See how it looks like. Okay. So this button is centered. So now let's try to center that button. Let me see. Where is the button? This is it. Enroll button. So what we can do is we can give it a class. A class to say maybe, okay, so another thing we can do is enroll button and maybe we want to give it another ID. Can we do this? Maybe register, reg btn. Let's see. Can this work? Still an ID. Shift hash Control V. So let me see. Font size. Let me just test. Maybe 40 pixels. Okay, so that didn't work. So what we can do, let's make it a class, right? Let's make it a class. Instead of this, let's make it a class. So class. Class of reg btn. So reg btn. So let's change it to class dot. So if we have this, let me see. We want to take it to the middle. Let me see. If we say text align center, what happens? It didn't move. Or what we can do is to maybe we can use margin. Let me see. I'll use margin left to shift it. But I was actually looking at a better way. Margin left. Let me see, maybe like 30 pixels. Let's see how that goes. Okay. But this one is actually going to be manual because you would have to be looking at it with your eyes. 50 pixels to say, oh, is it centralized? Or so maybe 60 pixels or something. you know. So, yeah, so let's see, maybe something like this. So I can now copy this one and replicate on all of this so that they will have the same styling. Okay, so let me go back to my HTML. So let's duplicate this first one. This is it. Let me see. This is it. So I can copy this. Copy. Let me delete these three. I've deleted them. So let me drop one. So it always comes with this div. That's the end, the closing. So let me delete it. So second one, check out this. This comes from VS Code. Third one, that's this extra closing div comes from VS Code. So that's why I'm deleting it. So we have 4. Okay. All right. So it's just to change the text, right? The text within here. So but another problem we have. So our training programs, let's work on this and bring them to the center. So training program and this, we can actually put them in a div, right? Or we can just give them an ID or okay, so maybe we can give it, maybe let's try class to say, maybe training, maybe training elements. I want to give the same class to the second one. Let's check out if that would work. So training elements, which is a class, so that's a dots. So dots, that. So you want to just say text align should come to the center. So it's gonna come to the center. So what we can do is, let me see. So there's some space up here. There's some space up here. So let me see. Okay. So I think a better practice will just be to put this within a div. Let me just put this within a div so that I would be able to work on them. Just copy it and put it within the div, then Control S to format. So with this div, then I can now say, give it an ID of training. Maybe I can say training container, right? I can just use that. So that's an ID. So that's going to be an hash. So hash, Control V. Then here we are going to have, okay, so margin, yeah. So let's have, let me see. Okay, so margin top. Okay, so margin top. Margin, so we can just have margin top of maybe 50 pixels. How does that look? So we have a lot of margin there. Maybe 150 pixels. Okay, I think 150 pixels works. Let me see. So maybe around that. Let me see. Yeah, somewhere around that. So there's also some kind of space between these and this. So so what we can do is to, let me see. What do we have here? So we need space between our training programs and this. So what do we do? So we can target, let me see, we can target this heading. We can target this heading and give some space. So let's see, how do we do that? So you already have the container, right? So container, let's target the heading. What heading is that? Heading 1, H1. So let's target H1, H1, and say, so we can say padding bottom. Let's give some space, maybe 15 pixels. Is that enough? Then I think our text is quite small. Let's increase our text a bit. Let's increase the font size to maybe 30 pixels. Let's see how 30 pixels looks. That's small. Okay, let's make it 50. Okay. Okay, so I think somewhere around this, or if that's too much, we can make it 45. 45. Okay, so I think let's leave it at 45. But we have this space here, which we really don't have here. So there's some space up here. So where is this space coming from? Let's look at the container holding these cards. Maybe we had given it a margin or a padding top or something. Let's look at it. So where is the container? So this is the container, training section container. Let's see what we did there. Training section container. Okay, so we gave a margin, you see, gave a margin of 20 pixels. So this margin, we wanted it to apply to just the I see, 20 pixels. So the 20 pixels applied round. So what we can do, I just need margin bottom. Yeah, that's what I need, margin bottom. So anything that is below, okay, margin bottom, 20 pixels, just the bottom. Then we still have this space here. So what's responsible for this space? Let me inspect. So let me check what's responsible for that space. The training section container has what? Padding of 50 pixels. Wow. Training section container. Okay, so let's go there. Training section container has padding of 50 pixels. Okay, yeah, so this is it. Padding 50 pixels. So these 50 pixels, we intended it to be left and right, but top and bottom, let's make it 0. 0 pixels, 50 pixels. Okay. So I think this is what we're looking for. So at this point, we can now work on this. So what do we do? So let's add a little padding top bottom to say maybe 10. Okay, maybe somewhere around this. Let me check. Okay, so maybe somewhere around this, or 15 also, or 12. It's around this anyway. So so let me see. Okay, so oh, we still have a lot. We need to stop here. So just hold on. Stop the live stream.